Good morning, everyone. I'm going to welcome you to the latest episode of 15-Minute Career Intelligence Sports Industry Edition. My name is Ron Roberts, Jr., and once again, I'm fortunate to have a couple other professionals from the sports industry on, and they both have agreed to take some time out Saturday morning to spend with me and to share some career insights with you. And so I want to, first of all, introduce Chris Hayre. He's a team reporter for the Los Angeles Chargers. And then also Charlene Riofrio, she's an associate producer for ESPN. And so I am going to start off by asking both to just talk briefly about their current role and responsibility. So Chris, why don't we start with you?
All right, Ron. Well, first, thank you so much for having us this morning. As you mentioned, I'm the team reporter for the Chargers. So everything you see on Chargers.com and our app and our social media channels, I do a lot of video. I started our podcast network a few years ago and also chip in with some writing. And then in addition to my role with the Chargers, I also work over at CBS Los Angeles as a freelance anchor and reporter. And what's unique about that is the Chargers have a relationship with CBS too. So it's been a fun ride. The football season's starting right now. So it's certainly been an unconventional 2020, but it's going to be a fun and busy one.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. And Charlene, how about you?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me join you guys today. As you had mentioned, I'm an associate producer at ESPN. I help produce two shows. One's in English, one's in Spanish. It's called Now or Never on ESPN2, and the Spanish one is Ahora o Nunca on ESPN Deportes. And what sets these two shows apart from all of the other ESPN shows is obviously, aside from talking about sports, we also get to incorporate a lot of pop culture, entertainment, and we just get to know the athlete on a more personal level, aside from, the X's and O's and the analysis that you hear on all of the other shows.
All right, great. So next, I'm going to just ask you each just to share some important lessons you've picked up from your career journey. And as has been the case with some of the folks I've interviewed, there have obviously been some highs and maybe some challenges. So if maybe Charlene, we'll start with you. Just share just some important lessons you've taken from your career journey.
I would say, especially right now with everything going on these past 5 months, for me, honestly, I'm going to be celebrating 10 years at ESPN next year. And I never in my life thought that, I could produce television from home. These 5 months, everyone is producing from home. Our talent is at home. And it's amazing that we can air our content on television. And I've been in a position where I've had to learn how to edit. I had the tools here in Los Angeles in our studio, but unfortunately we're not allowed, to be in the studio due to obvious reasons. But I've grown so much. I know how to edit now. I know how to make the technology work where we can put our content on television. So it's an exciting time. We're being pushed to learn new things and to be innovative.
Very good. And Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I would echo Charlene and just, pushing the boundaries of what you can do. The ability to be versatile, especially in 2020, is so important. I think the biggest lesson I've learned I've been in sports for about 20 years now, is just the importance of perseverance, because there are so many jobs, or so few jobs rather, and so many people that want those jobs. And sometimes it can be frustrating when you feel like you're qualified for a job and you don't get it, or you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. But I think just it's so important to keep a positive attitude and to have perseverance, because if you continue to just do good work, meet people, network, and continue to strive to do what you want to do to fulfill your dream, it's going to happen. It may not happen overnight. It may not happen in the time frame that you envision it happening, but it will happen. You just have to be patient and you have to persevere. So it's easier said than done, especially in times like this when there's so much uncertainty around us, specifically in the sports world. But perseverance is such an important lesson I think everybody working in sports needs to have.
Okay, great. So I'm hearing certainly a lot of perseverance, patience, and adaptability especially in this unconventional time. All right, so one of my guests made a statement I thought was really important. She says, you never go through your career alone. And so with that said, I wanted to ask if each of you could share one or two people who have influenced your career. And so Charlene, let's start with you again.
I wouldn't be able to single out one person exactly. I would say throughout my life, I've always had various people within my company, outside of my company, that have constantly supported me. But I would say maybe if I could pinpoint one specific person, her name's Sandy Nunez. She's the coordinating producer for SportsCenter. And she's one of the very few women at ESPN that have executive levels. And I aspire, one day to reach that level. But like Chris has said, and how you have said, Ron, it's all about patience and perseverance. And as long as you have a mentor that's there encouraging you, and networking is very important in our business. And it's just exciting. I get to meet people every day with my role, especially right now, virtually. I'm meeting producers and publicists in Australia, not just here in the United States and Mexico. And we're constantly brainstorming, coming up with ideas, especially right now. And it's an exciting time to keep relationships and create new relationships.
Mm. Good. And Chris, how about you? Who have been influencers in your career?
There's been so many, and I've actually had two different careers in sports, and I think the best advice I got was I was at a crossroads. I worked for the Lakers for 9 years in sponsorships. I was director of corporate sponsorships, and I decided in 2015 to take a leap of faith and kind of shift over to what my passion has always been, which is broadcast and sports media. So I went to Northwestern for a year to get my master's. And one of my mentors there was actually at ESPN, Adam Schefter, the NFL insider. And the best piece of advice that he gave me that's really stuck with me, and I think it is something that everybody can implement, is once you get an opportunity somewhere, don't give them a reason to have you leave. Do everything you possibly can. Once you get your foot in the door, do everything you possibly can so that they can't do anything but keep you on. So I think taking advantage of opportunities. Adam was so great and gracious with his time with me over that year I was at Northwestern, and still to this day. And I think it's so important to have multiple mentors in this business. You get a different perspective from different people, and you can kind of pick and choose the things that best represent who you are and where you are in your career. So I think that would be the biggest thing, is just, once you get your foot in the door, make sure you're in it for good.
All right, great advice. And so I love hearing that someone, as Charlene mentioned, someone who can take under your wings, who you aspire to be like. And Chris mentioned the point of having multiple mentors. And yes, once you get in, it's like, don't give them a reason to get rid of you. So great stuff. All right, so next I want to ask you both to share a defining or very memorable moment in your career. And so Chris, we'll start with you.
You know what? I would say recently is when I started with the Chargers in 2017, there was no position. I kind of pitched myself. I realized that they didn't have a podcast, and they had just moved from San Diego to Los Angeles. So I pitched them on a podcast that I would produce from start to finish. I would host. I would book the guests, and they said, "All right, well let's try it for training camp." And it worked out in 2017 training camp, and it led to being there full or on a freelance basis in 2017. That got parlayed into a full-time position. And over the last 3 years, I remember in 2017 looking for that job in the NFL that I wanted so badly. And now to see kind of things come together a little bit with being able to work over at CBS and also cover the NFL in Los Angeles. I think that was the moment where I said, you know what, I made that transition from being a sales executive to a reporter / anchor / journalist. And I would say that's to this date is probably the defining moment in my sports career, being that I was able to make that transition from sales to broadcast.
That's really cool. Good. Thank you for sharing, Chris. And Charlene, how about you? A defining or memorable moment in your career?
I would say a defining moment for me would be when I transitioned over from being a content associate at ESPN. I was working on the Sports Center show, which aired late at night. And I eventually transitioned over working on these two shows that I'm working on. And rather than just being an associate producer, I also wear multiple hats, and one of them being talent producer. And I've had the opportunity to constantly pitch not just ideas, but guests that we want to interview on our show, ranging from celebrities to athletes to you name it. And in a sense, it's given me a lot of, I wouldn't say control, but more ownership of what I would love to see as a fan on TV and on our digital platform. And it's helped me learn a lot and just stretch my broad range of knowledge of what else I can do within the sports industry, aside from, producing and editing, but also having some ownership in terms of the content that you see on all of our platforms.
Yeah, very nice. I know it has to be rewarding too, to have that ownership, of something and being able to see it being produced and saying, knowing that you were behind that or you had a lead, in that. So great stuff. All right, so finally, I want to wrap up with a two-part question. So I wanted to ask you both just to share maybe something that you think that people should know about you, and any final pieces of advice for our audience. And so, Charlene, why don't we go back to you?
And thanks. For me, I would say one would be I'm currently, like Chris said, he got his master's. I'm currently finishing up my master's at USC. And I think it's very important it's always important to keep learning and finding new opportunities. And that's what I'm currently doing right now. And the second thing is, hey, if you're interested in the sports world, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I'm very involved in community service. I think it's important to give back, and it's something that's helped me with my career.
Okay, good. And I know it has to feel good to continue your USC education.
Yes, I'm currently at USC getting my master's in communication management at Annenberg.
Okay, great. All right, and Chris, how about you? Something you want people to know about you? Any final words of advice?
Yeah, that's great. Well, Charlie, congratulations on that. You know what? I am just going to continue with the 2020 season here as the NFL gets started up, and just try to continue to tell good stories here in LA with CBS outside of the world of football as well. And really just the advice I give to people, and also I'm always open and willing to try to help others achieve their goals in sports. But I think staying positive and continuing to do good work. I think sometimes you can get caught up in what other people are doing or what you're not doing. And it's one of those things that's easier said than done. But if you can just continue to do good work, concentrate on yourself, check off each day. It may sound mundane, it may sound boring, but it's going to lead you to where you ultimately want to go. So trying to focus on the things that are most important when you're looking for a job, trying to find things to do, whether it's, if you're in broadcast, maybe start your own podcast or get reps writing or get reps on camera. Just trying to better yourself as you kind of approach the next phase of your career.
All right, well, great way to end our time. So Charlene and Chris, I want to thank you both for once again taking this time out, the wealth of wisdom you shared in just a short period of time, and also your heart for giving back to people and helping to pay it forward for the next generation of talent. So I wish you well, continued success in your respective careers, and look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.